I think you were all unwilling to completely shut down the possibilities of the election. I mean, is that wrong? There was a sense in which you said that Aung San Suu Kyi still mattered, the regime was still trying to control her, and that in itself is a symbolic kind of space, isn't it? That Zarni, I think you in a sense also said that there was mobilisation going on around the elections and there were choices to be. And Justin, you said, well, perhaps forget that Martin Luther gets even if it just is, as it were, a movement towards a post-military situation that might open things up. Against a rather bleak background, is that right? Do you think there's? I mean, elections do have some capacity to develop out of the control of the people trying to control them.
A lot of people are hoping that after the elections, things will improve. When I say that a lot of people, the people who are interested in politics, like for example, the person who I met here in Oxford only an hour ago, he is going to take part in the election. So I said, what do you expect out of it? And what he said is, we have lost the battle with the regime. So we are now going to invest in the evolution of Burma. So this election, he is seen as an evolution, and which is interesting for me, because for the whole week I've been hearing about NLD views as part of my job to interview the NLD senior executive committee members, and all we've been hearing is whether to take part in the elections or not to take part in the elections. And here is somebody who fought against the military government in 1988, and he is now willing to stand for the elections, particularly because NLD has failed to do the job that they expected. NLD is so ill-prepared to how to confront the regime. The plan by the regime after 20 years to hold the election, to call the referendum, these has all been the roadmap has been laid down since 1992 when they called the National Assembly to draft a new constitution. And NLD doesn't seem to be thinking the way the other politicians or this group of politicians been thinking. So is there a hope? A lot of people said, and this is what the other day Zarni was discussing in the House of Commons again, will there be a political space? A lot of people are hoping to have a political space. Personally, I don't think there will be the situation will be much different from where we are now. However, if you look from now until the next 5 years, not this term of parliament, but in the next term of parliament, yes, there is possibility that people will have more voice, people will have more say.
Just one corrective. I take a very, very dim view of the electoral process, and I would not put my money on the elections as a venue for change. And also, I think we need to understand, elections are not for the military as an honorable or strategic way out. This military is not planning on exit Burmese politics. They're trying to reconfigure the political arrangements so that they will have less resistance or direct resistance from within the society, and also they will clear one major obstacle that they have created for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, in which they are a member, because Burma has been a major sticky point between the ASEAN and Western business and political partners such as US, European Union. And when you say post-military, in the same way the Burmese independence, or Burma after independence, was not post-colonial. You know, in the reasons that I explained earlier, the post-election is not going to be post-military. We need to be very clear. And also, in terms of civilianization, bringing civilians into this process. I lived under the first military rule from 1963 to 1988, and we went through this so-called civilianization process with the constitution that was copied from the German Democratic Republic constitution, GDR, in 1973-74. And barely 14 years after the civilianized government was in power, the whole edifice collapsed. That's when Aung San Suu Kyi and the mass uprisings came into existence. And finally, I have had in-depth, hours-long conversations with different generals, except Maung and Ban Shui. There were junior generals and also their deputies, and I was in their hand for almost a month, 24/7, when I gave up my U.S. asylum, becoming very disillusioned with the rigidly held sanctions and isolation policy of the West. I held conversations with the members of the armed forces at different levels, from the privates who cooked for me to my contemporaries who were brigadiers and colonels. And what happens is two things. With the West, in terms of their foreign relations, the Burmese officer corps and their generals, they feel the inferiority complex, not least because of their command of English language. That's their psyche, their attitude toward the West. They feel insecure, they feel vulnerable in their foreign relations with the West. And towards the citizenry over whom they lord, they feel superior. Yeah, that includes technocrats, educated people like myself, others, peasantry, women. And then so, we've got a psychological process going on, and this is a deeply and misguidedly paternalistic group of people. And they have refused to reflect on why they are subject to so much societal hatred. And finally, election and the space. Will the elections create or make some space for civil society actors who work on non-security issues, or like HIV/AIDS, community development? The answer is yes. Will there be public participation in terms of educating about policies and politics around the elections? However limited the space is, the potential is there. But will the elections be enough? Will the evolution be enough to bring about significant changes in the country fundamentally? The answer is categorically no. And finally, if you look at democratization, since 1974, what Huntington called the third wave of democratization, and in most cases, smooth transitions did not take place. And even if there were cases where there appeared to be the ascendancy of technocrats within the power structure, they were there as a result of mass agitation and mass pressure from below. And no dictators take retirement packages, and dictatorial systems do not go without a fight. And so we should be under no illusion about whether there will be a benevolent system out of this evolutionary process.